Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Venus and it is Summerween. So today is Saturday, July 16th. I didn't really vlog yesterday, but I did start reading. I am currently, let me grab it. I'm currently reading Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This is a sci-fi horror book that's been on my TBR for like the last 3 or 4 months, so I'm excited to finally get into it. I'm almost finished it. It's okay. The beginning was a little slow, but we're really getting into some kind of scary, creepy stuff right now. So it is about a space crew who is out on their last, I guess, kind of mission all together. They get a distress signal from a ship that is thought to have been kind of lost for the last 20 years. So of course they go out and take a look and things go from there. And I think what I'm not liking too much about it is the main character. And it might be because I'm listening to the audiobook and the way the narrator is doing her voice is super annoying. And it's like, it's driving me kind of crazy. But even though I like tried to like physically read it too, and there's just kind of some parts that are pretty boring, but there are parts that are a little creepy, so it's not like a DNF for me. And like I said, I'm at like page a little over 200 and it's starting to get really interesting because you're trying to figure out exactly what is happening. Are there ghosts? Is the main character going crazy? She's definitely an unreliable character. I don't know. But yeah, so that's where we are. My daughter and I are getting ready to go out and look to see if there's any Halloween decor out. Yes, I know it's July, but I follow, so I love Halloween, in case you didn't know. Love Halloween. So I follow Jade the Libra and Midge Munster, who like to go out and do kind of Halloween code orange, that's what they call it, in late summer to see what stores have Halloween stuff out yet. So we're gonna hit, I think, Michael's, Home Goods, maybe Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure yet. So that's what we're gonna go do today. I'm gonna bring you guys along, and yeah, that's the plan. So see you soon. Summerween check-in. It's been a couple days. It is Tuesday, July 19th. I finished a book and DNF'd a book. So let's talk about the book I finished. I did finish Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. And as much as I wanted to read this book and as excited as I was to finally get to read this book, it was a bit of a letdown. So I gave it 3 stars. The main character, I did not like her at all. She had some kind of trauma that happened to her when she was a child that she just were constantly in her head, and that's all she like goes back to with how she treats people and even in the situation she's in on the spaceship. And it just became really annoying. And then there was like a random romance in it. I just didn't enjoy it that much. I gave it 3 stars because it was definitely atmospheric, and the luxury space liner that her and her crew found, all of the scenes that were inside of that particular spaceship, I enjoyed. It was great. Her descriptions were good. It was a little creepy. I definitely did feel some of the alien vibes that this book is compared to, but only minimally, not as much as I was hoping. So yeah, so 3 stars for me on this book. The next book that I tried to read was Kill River. That was my slasher for the readathon. And a lot of people are reading this book. I was really excited. It is a slasher that takes place on a I thought it was a water park. It's actually a camp. And I DNF'd it. So the things that I did like about it is the 80s vibes. The author did a really good job of just describing the clothes and the Walkman that the main character, she loved music, so she's constantly using her Walkman, and some of the song references and just the vibes. Like, I totally 100% was here for that. My biggest concern or gripe was that the main character was like 13 or 14 years old, and I just didn't feel comfortable reading a slasher book with a 13 or 14-year-old. So that was a little weird, but they kind of read more older, so I just suspended my belief about that portion of it and kept reading it. And so the main character is kind of antisocial. Her parents get upset because she doesn't have any friends. All she does is she wants to listen to her headphones. And so they decide to send her off to this camp. So the first 100 pages are about her meeting these 3 other people at this camp that are her age. They're like the oldest kids at this camp, and the camp counselor who's a jerk, and just nothing slashery, nothing spooky happens for like over 100 pages. And I'm like, I cannot, like, this is ridiculous. So I DNF'd it. I cheated and looked at some reviews, and apparently it doesn't get any better. The killer doesn't really have a backstory. I don't know. So yeah, so that's a DNF for me. The next book that I started reading is The Carrow Hunt by Darcy Coates. And so far it's okay. It's not like amazing, but it's definitely entertaining. The audiobook this looks thicker than what it is. The words are like really big, and there's like huge spacing in the huge line spacing. So this book is going by super fast. I'm listening to the audiobook. This is about Remy, who is a tour guide for a haunted house, I think it's the Carrow house. Oh, jeez. FedEx is just simply driving down the street and my dog is barking, so sorry. So yeah, Remy is a tour guide for this house, and she's been asked by someone to host a tour guide that lasts I think it's like 2 weeks. So this whole group of like different people, there's a spiritual medium, the owner of this house who's like 17 years old, but she loves spooky houses, so she owns it. And I don't know, it's a whole like hodgepodge of people that have decided to go ahead and stay in this house for 2 weeks. And it's fun. There's, some spooky ghost stuff going on. I don't want to really get too much into it because these books I really like to kind of go in blind. So as far as recommendations, so far so good. I am liking this. That's my Summerween update for now. I don't think I talked about it afterwards, but yes, me and my daughter did have some fun, and we did find some Code Orange stuff at home and Michael's. We're the only 2 places that do have Halloween stuff out right now, Halloween and fall stuff out right now. So that was super, super fun. And I did make some mini pumpkin cheesecakes that were amazing. If you're interested in the recipe, let me know and I'll post it down below. I found it somewhere online and they are so, so good. That's what's happening so far for Summerween. I'm gonna finish reading The Carrow Hunt probably today. As always, I'm having mostly fun with the prompts and just bringing fall into the summer. My reading experience has not been the greatest so far, but still, I'm still having a blast. So I will check back in with you guys later. podcast today. It is Thursday, July 21st, and I have some books to wrap up that I did finish. And the first one is The Carrow Haunt by Darcy Coates. Kind of briefly touched on this earlier, and I did read the back to make sure that I wasn't spoiling anything, but I don't know if I mentioned that the Carrow house is actually the home of a serial killer who killed, I want to say, over 20-30 people in this house. So there's definitely some supernatural things going on in it. I had a good time with this. I definitely enjoyed this much more than The Haunting of Ashburn House. I felt like that book's pacing was just way off. But this one was pretty good. I did have fun. It really reminded me, and I have not seen this movie in many years because it scared the hell out of me when I was younger, but Poltergeist, the original one. It just had some kind of moments in it that it kind of gave me Poltergeist vibes. So one of the things that I didn't like is I really wasn't invested in the characters too much. There was really only one character that I really liked, and that was the spirit medium. She was just fun, quirky character. They did get to do some seances in this book, so that was fun. I will say this is like, I know it's supposedly it's in the horror genre, but I felt like it was like soft horror. Like it wasn't scary to me. I mean, it had like ghosts in it. I really did like how Darcy Coates kind of broke down the difference between ghosts, spirits, poltergeists. I think she mentioned specters and like imprints, like all these different terminologies that I wasn't familiar with. So I thought that was cool. The ending was really fast paced. It was a lot going on. And I enjoyed it. I would give this book like a 3.5. Like I said, definitely enjoyed it much more than The Haunting of Ashburn House. I will continue to read more books by Darcy Coates. I think I'm going to save them definitely for the fall and spooky season because she's really good at making it just super atmospheric. And overall, I enjoyed it. It was okay. So I do recommend it. The last book I read for Summerween was The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This is the first book that I read by her, and I enjoyed it. It would have been a 4 stars if not for a twist that happened in it that is one of my least favorite tropes in thrillers. So I did drop it down to like 3.5 because of that, but this book is about a woman named Shay. She works as a receptionist in a doctor's office. She had something traumatic happen to her in her childhood, so she just likes to go to work, go home. She's also recently divorced, so she doesn't have anyone in her life except for her sister. So in her spare time, she likes to work on her true crime website, and she likes to investigate cold cases. And so one day when she's working, a woman comes in that she recognizes, and this woman was actually accused of murder 40 years ago called the Lady Killer Murders. So Shay asks her to interview her. And this woman's name's Beth Greer, and she lives in this big, huge mountain, and this big, huge mansion that's pretty secluded, and she agrees to have Shay interview her. So Shay makes multiple trips to the mansion. Beth's story is slowly unraveling. I was really invested in the characters. I loved Beth's character. Shay was a great character. She also has a friend named Mike. I think his name was Mike. I really enjoyed so this book is split into, I think, part 1 and part 2. I loved part 1. It was flying by. I couldn't put it down. I was enjoying it so much, loving the characters, loving the story. The pacing was great. And then we get to, like, I guess, the reveal. And I'm like, no. It's one of those. Yeah, so I'm not going to say what it is, but it's my least favorite tropes in thrillers. I can't stand it. I hate it. And so I did finish it, but part of me was like, I don't even feel like finishing this. But because I did enjoy the writing, I did go ahead and finish it. It was good. I enjoyed it. I just wasn't a fan of the twist. There was some paranormal elements to this book too that I really enjoyed. I love that Simone St. James jumped in or added that to the story. And I really look forward to reading some of her other books. So I am glad that I read this. Again, not a fan of the trope she used, but it's fine. So I do recommend it. You know, it's a thing with me that, you know, certain things I don't like, but overall, I think this was a really good book. Again, the characters were great. The pacing was good. The storytelling was great. It kind of jumps timelines from 2017, which is I guess would be current time in this book for Shay, and then it jumps back so that Beth can tell her story that happened 40 years ago. It was a good book. I give it 3.5 stars. I'll do 3.5 stars. That's the end of Summerween. I had a blast as usual. I do want to thank Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Loves a Latte for putting on these fun readathons, for bringing Halloween into the summer and spring, whatever season it's not. We're, outside of Halloween. So thank you, and thank you guys as always for stopping by and hanging out with me. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. As for me, I am going to take a break from thrillers for now, and I'm going to jump back into some fantasy. So I will see you guys again soon. See ya.